I know I'm a couple minutes early as usual. Well, not as usual. I'm a couple minutes early. Just because I'm getting stuff set up and thinking and... Okay, so hello. How is everyone? I'm just now realizing I didn't even brush my hair before I came on. So hi! I have to find myself on here so I can find your comments. There it is. Good. Mute. I love it. Yes. Skip my ads. All right. Hello. We aren't doing the rune study tonight. Sometimes the universe just puts something else in my way that needs to be taught. And so I have learned to listen to the universe, because usually it comes around, like if I'm trying to ignore it and do something else, it usually ends up coming around and having to be done anyways. And then the study that I was supposed to do doesn't get its due diligence. On top of that, it's very clear that I was supposed to do this teaching instead. Hi, Emma. Hi, G. Hi, Leolyn. Hi, Nancy. Because I have been so exhausted that I haven't had a chance to feel like I'm ready to do the rune study anyways. So with everything that has been going on this week, I just felt like, sometimes the universe just puts that into our view that this is something that we need to do. And so here we are. So hope is a good topic, right? Now that hope is possible. Lady D, hello. Yes, hope is possible. Hope is possible. Yay. Also, always follow the promptings you get. Yay. Good. I'm glad. I'm super glad. Hi, Thomas. So I try to, what are we doing? We're doing a lesson on hope, and the strive for unity, and the nature of our being at this point, and how we try to move forward on one side or the other. I know it's a big topic, right? I'm going to solve all the world's problems tonight, okay? All right, so no, I'm not going to solve all the world's problems, but I have felt for a long time, and I'll be honest with you, there are things that I don't know how I'm going to answer, or if I'm going to be able to answer, but you know me, there may be stuff that comes up that I'm like, yeah, I don't know. No idea. And that's okay. Let me start with, if you were able to watch the inauguration, and saw any of it, I hope that you took away some good things from it. I strive really hard to not pick out the other side. You all know, what side I'm on. I believe. I certainly don't try to hide it. But I try to make sure I'm inclusive to everyone. And as long as they try to be inclusive with me, right? And that's the goal, is to try to bring some unity. I saw some things that has come up a lot. Yes, I mean, how many times did Biden say unity? If you saw that, he's like a million times. We need to unite. We need to unify as a country. We need to, and it was disheartening. I will say I saw a couple comments on another group that I thought, yeah, I saw those comments too. And some people have been very disheartened with the reaction from the other side, that either A, they ignored it completely, which is kind of what I saw. I'll be honest, in my little realm, I was a little disappointed in the people that I personally know that are on the other side, because I really felt like they completely ignored it. Which is their prerogative. And we have to accept people from the place that they come. But there is a level of discord that I would hope that people who urgently and truthfully want the country to come together a little bit better would try to do what they could to unify with each other. Because I'll tell you, I remember 4 years ago when Trump was inaugurated, and I remember being devastated that, our side had lost, and not feeling very hopeful, but saying, you know what, I'm going to try. Maybe he will go out there and, do some of the things that we want to do, and then for me, and again, I am truly not trying to be political, but for me, it was suddenly, maybe can we expect him to at least be human? And that turned out to be very difficult. And I if you are on the other side and you would like to talk to me about how you think he was being human, please help me out, because I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And I tried. I truly tried. But here's the thing. I hope that the other side now will at least try. So let's get into it a little bit. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone that I missed. Hello, hello, hello. But with no tolerance for domestic, yes, and racism. Exactly. Those things are not partisan. Exactly. Yes. For sure. And that's something we will be talking about for sure. And hope and our responsibility to hope, right? For sure. All right. This is going to drive me crazy because there's that glare from that light. I'm going to turn that light off because it's going to drive me nuts. Ooh, don't trip, Jen. My big ass feet. Okay, I hope that glare is gone. Okay. Okay. Yes, it's gone. Beautiful. I live in an area that has many disgruntled people. It is very hard for me to understand this. Yes, I do too. And I live in an area that is a very Republican area in New York, which, people think New York is the mecca of liberalism, right? But when you get outside of New York City, there's lots of trees and hills, and people in New York like to hunt and all that, and that is totally fine. I actually don't have an issue with hunting as long as you use what you hunt at all. And I know people think that's weird for a liberal to be saying, but I don't have an issue with hunting at all. People, my ancestors hunted. As long as you use it, I'm good. Literally mocked, yes, a reporter with disabilities. Yes, exactly. It was no longer sides when he won. It was humanity, yes. And it had vanished, exactly. The man took harsh words to military men who have died. Yes, he did. It's not a debate. Yes, for sure. So there is a reason for both sides. And if you are a true Republican, I have no issue with that whatsoever. None. I have an issue with hate, and I'm a person who teaches about love and acceptance and tolerance and inclusion. And those are things that have suddenly become antithetical with the Trump party, which I've heard now. I think it's probably a very good idea for him to create his own party. If that's what he's going to espouse, then I think the Republicans, the true Republicans who were Republicans before Trump, would rather he take his hate someplace else and call it whatever the hell he's going to call it, because they have kind of been kicked out of their own party, feeling like what he was espousing was not what he was never a Republican. Exactly. That was, he didn't stand for any Republican ideal. That was, weird. So the true Republicans, have had a very hard time because they have felt like they didn't fit into their own party because he kind of took it over and took it to a way different place. Okay. Having said that, what I do want to talk about more is where we go from here and how we get there and what our responsibility is to move that forward in a productive way as best as we can. And I'm going to keep putting that caveat on the end of it because our responsibilities are to our actions. And so our responsibilities are not to change everyone else's mind. We can live in hope. We can fight for truth, for hope, for love, for the things that we care about. Fight as in a political manner. And we have a responsibility to move that forward as best we can. But our responsibility is not to change everyone's mind. It's to live so that they look at us and go, what is it that you have that I don't have? And I have said to, like I said, almost everyone I work with is on the other side from me. And I know yesterday I had one of the people who work in my building came in and was like, let me guess, you watch it? I said, yes, I'm watching. I'm watching the inauguration. I'm excited. And why wouldn't you be excited? Why wouldn't you want to step forward in something new? Well, our taxes are going to, and I'm like, look, I can talk to you, and I have no problem with talking to you about how I feel about the tax situation. And I know that you guys are afraid that the taxes are going to be so high that, that your businesses are not going to do well and stuff. And I get why you're fearful. That's a scary thing when you are a small business owner. It's a scary thing to have a Democrat come in and say, I'm going to raise your taxes. I said, but here's the thing. I have been poor all my life. I have seen the other side. I didn't come from a rich family. So the things that Trump did, I haven't seen shit. I paid more taxes. I didn't get anything good out of anything he did at all. And I get all that securities, and the stock market was doing great because they pushed millions of dollars into it and all that. I didn't see that because I've never owned a stock in my entire life, ever. I mean, now granted, I better back up and say, I guess I probably do because I think it has something to do with my retirement fund, but I don't really know. And I certainly don't pay attention to it or know if I lost a whole bunch of money in it. I wouldn't have any idea. And let me back up. I know I didn't lose a whole bunch of money in it because there isn't a whole bunch of money in it. And it is a very different thing. So what we can do, though, is try to understand. I have said so many times to people on the other side, help me to understand. I'm going to tell you what's important to me, which is, and I please explain to me how me wanting everyone to try to take care of each other a little and love each other and be inclusive and not let your fellow man down when they're having a really hard time and kick them down and say, fuck you, we don't give a shit. Guess you didn't work hard enough. I'm not saying the people who decided to live on the streets and drink because, they whatever. I hate that term that they use. But yes, having morals is not political. And that's what I try to bring to the table is okay, this is my ideals. This is what I try to spread is love and hope and acceptance and helping each other out when you can. So you tell me where I'm wrong. You tell me where your party speaks to me at all. I don't get and the environment and making sure that animals are taken care of and that the planet is going to survive us. The planet will survive. Let me change that. Making sure that we survive the planet. The planet will go on. It could care less what we do to it because if we kill ourselves off because we can no longer sustain life here, the planet is going to keep going. We just won't be able to live here anymore. And that's our own stupidity. So all of that put aside, I want someone to explain to me why what I care about isn't what they care about. And if it isn't, why not? I don't understand. All right. So we've gone, this is such a long, deep rabbit hole, right? I'm going to back up for just a minute and go back to the inauguration because I do want to touch on quickly Amanda Gorman. If you saw my post, I did ask that if you had time, if you could, I missed you guys too. If you could watch Amanda Gorman, who is this amazing, incredible, poised, intelligent, beautiful, poignant. She is the poet laureate now, and spoke her poem at the inauguration, and it was stunning. Just blew me away, stunning, tears streaming, stunning, right? If you did not get to see it, please go take a look. I have posted it now in the group. I have posted it on my personal page. And I will post it underneath this video. Youth Poet Laureate, yes. She was stunning. Just stunning. And that's what she talked about was hope, was climbing the hill. The poem that she read was called The Hill We Climb. And there's a couple phrases in it that I want to talk about. Yeah, so poised, so amazing, so hopeful, so and stunning. Oh, it's just stunning. Her heart showed. Yes, she did remind me of Maya Angelou for sure. Oh, I know why the caged birds sing, and yes. Her Oprah Winfrey gave her the pin that had the bird on it for in memory of Maya Angelou, so she could carry Maya Angelou with her. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit too, because she very much, I thought, wow, Maya Angelou would have loved her, and I'm sure she does, Hi, Heidi. So there's a couple lines, though, that I thought, oh, this is so good. And then there's some things that I want to talk about with her specifically just because it sparked other things in my head. So the poem that she read was called The Hill We Climb. And just was incredible. I don't want to read the whole thing. So hard not to. All right, I'm going to read the whole thing. That's so bad. Because I hate to do that because I'm not going to do it justice. Please go watch her read it because it was incredibly amazing. But there's so many tidbits in here that I don't want to lose. And I think I'm going to listen to it every day for a while because like every morning, I think I need this right now every morning in my life. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find the light in this never-ending shade, right? And a lot of us have felt for 4 years that this never-ending shade was never going to end. The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. Stomp on your heart, right? And yet, the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. Isn't broken. We're just not done, right? How powerful it was to see a Black woman take the stage at the presidential election. I know, with the first female vice president who is also a Black woman and an Asian woman and a woman. Mind blown. That's the other thing. I'll pause here too, because I had to retweet. I love Twitter. I'm not gonna lie. I love Twitter because it is a direct line to real people. And even though some of those people are jerks, it is a direct line to what real people are thinking right in the moment. And I love that. I love to like watch something like the inauguration and just keep my eye on Twitter, because people start, you can see their immediate reactions. It's great. And one of the things that I just loved was all of the women who posted pictures of their daughters. I'm going to cry. Posted pictures of their Indian daughters, of their Black daughters, of their white daughters, of their daughters, and said, I got to tell my daughter today that you are like her and you can be there. And I can't believe it's taken till 2021 before we can say that. But what a powerful moment, because everyone finds their strength when you see others that are like you. And so how powerful it is for all women, for Black women, for Indian women, for Asian, for the whole spectrum of everything that Kamala Harris is, to be able to see themselves in her. It's a powerful, powerful moment that we really need to recognize as women, for sure. Definitely. Yes, it's all women. It is all women, for sure. So it is such a powerful thing. And then this young woman, representation, so important. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. That was beautiful, a moment. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose. To compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. So again, time out, right? So what stands before it? So, and so many times in these past 4 years, I have thought, can we just for 2 seconds, and unfortunately, Trump was not the president for that. Let's be honest. Even if you are a Trump person, you cannot for an instant say that Trump was a person who tried to unify anyone. He stood in front of us deliberately and would mock us daily for not being Trumpers, right? If we didn't agree with something he was doing, It was, how dare we not agree completely with what he was saying. And would point out differences instead of ever trying to like point us all in one direction, unified. He would, not. Yes, 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 Courtney. And you know what? He's already started the Keystone Pipeline. Hello. He already started with the Keystone Pipeline. I love that. Yeah, I don't think so either. And Sonia, you're wrong. It's coming. It's coming now. Now that we have broken the vice presidency, it's coming. He mocked his own supporters. I know, right? I hope so. I do hope so. So anyways, part of our hope and our responsibility to hope is sometimes we have to redirect. And like you have to redirect a toddler. And I hate to say it like this, but we have to remember that we have to accept people from their own experiences. They have lived a different life from us, and they have the experiences that they are having. They are coming from a different place than we are. One of the things that has happened in the last 4 years is that information is not the same, right? It started before 4 years ago, but it ramped up a lot in the last 4 years. Information is not the same. There is information that you can find from the left side that will be exactly opposite of the information that you can find from the right side. And so we know that somewhere in the middle is truth, although I think after 4 years it's not it's not in the middle. But I do think that there is something to be said for looking at. I try to watch right-wing things when I can, for as long as I can stand it. That will give me the perspective of what they think, because I want to know. I know that if I am going to fight for truth, that I need to know what they believe the truth is and why they believe that. And if I then can challenge that in a meaningful way, that's different than just saying, no, you're wrong, right? There's no action. There's no good to just saying to someone you're wrong. You have to say, well, this is what actually happened. This is what we have seen. This is the proof that we have. And this is not to put this in your face, but this is to say, this is what happened. This was the reality of the situation. And perhaps the spin comes again, right? So the truth has to matter somehow, and I don't know what that means. And I know, here's where I understand why some people on the right are very wary of giving away their freedoms. I get that. I do. I laugh at Scott. I love Scott, boss man at work at MDL. I laugh at Scott because he is an ex-cop. He's an ex-border patrol agent, and he is such a cop. It's so cute. But he is like, his privacy is very important to him, and the like anything that impedes on his ability to stay private, he's very suspicious of. Where I'm like an open book. I don't care. Like, how many times have you guys seen my license plate and stuff, and I give out my address and all that, and there has been some issues before because I have to remember that that's not where he comes from. So their freedom of speech, they're afraid to lose their freedom of speech. So in my mind, I'm like, well, we need to regulate at least that. If you, in my mind, and I'm not saying this is totally the right answer, But if you are purporting to be a news station, then in my mind, you have to at least prove that you did your due diligence to prove that the facts that you are stating as facts on television are real. I would think that would be something that we should be able to regulate. That if you're a news station, you have to prove that you tried to prove that the facts that you're calling facts are true. And here's where I get confused. I'm always like, because here's where the other side will say, freedom of speech. You have to allow freedom of speech. Okay, well, I'm not saying that they can't spew that shit wherever they want, as long as they're not trying to say, like, can't we set up and regulate, this is a news channel. If you say you're a news channel, if you're going to pretend like I'm putting forth facts, you have to try to prove that you tried to make sure that they were actually facts. To me, that there's a disconnect. That I'm like, I don't get it. Right. To actual news and propaganda. We used to all watch the same news program. At 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock, we used to all watch the same thing. So they start to yell about freedom of speech, and because all regulation to them is a bad thing. Like it's, and not to all of them. I hate that word, because I really do try not to lump everyone together. They fought a whole war because of fake news. Yes. But that's the whole libertarian platform, right? Is leave us alone and let us do exactly what we want when we want it. And I get that. I just really feel like we need to be able to regulate a little bit. That truth you have to try to say it's actually the truth. And I actually tried to prove that it was true before I said it as fact. But that's, for some reason, on the other side, you get into a big deal about it. Like, I still, like, if I say that to Scott, he's like, well, yeah, but you can't say what they can say. And I'll give you a personal example. And I'm going to bring up something that I don't very often bring up, things that have happened on my channel in the past that were downers, that were hard, and that were controversial. Because I try to move on, and I don't bring this up to, and I hate to do this. I hate this. I don't bring this up to down these two people either. And I'm not even going to name them. But if you were here, you know. There were two people that were on my channel before that were admins. That were on the other side. That I loved very much. And the disagreement came because as admins, when you step forth into my group as an administrator, as one of my admins, you are representing me. And so one of the things that I require is not to have hate speech about an entire group of people, even on your personal page, if you're an admin of mine. And only because you, on my videos, my admins, you guys see them, they come out and they are willing to help you. They are willing to answer questions. They all are wonderful people, and they go above and beyond. And these two people were wonderful people too. I'm not saying that they weren't. But some of the things that they were posting on their personal page was hate-filled about the entire Black Lives Matter movement. And so my line was, guys, I love you, and I'm not telling you what you can believe. And what I got was, that's my personal page. Okay. And you're right. It's your personal page. But my only line as the head of my channel, which is, this is kind of like, my platform, was that I asked them to step down as administrators, that they could totally stay in my group, that I loved them still, and that they could, if they needed to post that stuff on their personal page, I just asked them to step down as administrators. And they went on all kinds of social media and talked about how I was limiting their freedom of speech, and that how dare I try to limit what they could say on their personal page. And Scott even said to me, yeah, but it's their personal page. And I said, yeah, absolutely. They can still do that. They just can't do that and say they're my administrator, because now they're representing me. And all I asked was that they not be my administrator, that they could totally stay in the group. I didn't kick them out of the group, regardless of what they said. And the rest of my administrators can tell you that. I just asked them not to be administrators, or to not post that on their personal page. That was their choice. So that's an example, though, of, I don't think that's limiting freedom of speech. They asked for that job. That was a requirement of the job. I know, Emma. That was a little trickier. They don't believe that they are being racist to say that. The other side, the side that they're on, when they say all lives matter, they don't think that Black Lives Matter should be a movement, because they think all lives should matter. I just wish sometimes that so much that they honestly could step into their shoes. Yeah, I did too, Emma. They got worse after they left me, which I felt terrible, because I loved them. I just loved them. And I still do. You can ask my admins, I feel bad. But I just couldn't have it. Yes, Sonia, I believe that it is a form of brainwashing. It is sad. It is so heartbreaking. It was horrible. It was horrible for me, especially because as a professional, and I consider myself to be a professional on here as best I can. I try very hard to keep and maintain a level of professionalism. I try really, really hard not to like talk about other people and stuff, and they trash my name everywhere. And it was so hard for me not to come on and defend myself, but I was like, nope, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let it go. I can't. I just can't. I know, Hexen. I know. It's hard. Yes, both sides claim brainwashing. That's true. I know. And here's the thing. This is what I still did. Sarana, and maybe you, I don't know if you can help me either, but like, I don't understand how they say us preaching love and unity and inclusion, why that is brainwashing. Like, I never get their argument. Like, I know I'm teaching that we should all have the same ability to fight for what is right. I'm teaching that we should love each other unconditionally, not based on skin color, religion, this, that, the other, and to have them go, oh, brainwashing. I don't get it. I know that's not how they say it, but I never understand their argument. I'm always like, but I'm not saying that you don't matter. I'm saying that these people have historically and still felt like they don't matter because they are being persecuted. And how can you say that we shouldn't call attention to that and that's a bad thing? I never understand, but it is so hard. Hi, Amanda. Okay, so let me get back to the poem real quick because there's some more things I want to get through to get to the hope part, okay? Let me take a drink really quickly. Okay. All right, here we go. We are striving to forge our union with purpose. It's not. They are terrified of the gender change thing and how the culture is changing. Yeah, it's fear, right? And that's true. We do have to remember that it is a deep-seated fear, and it's scary for them. And change is scary, and I know it's scary, and I try to be cognizant of that for sure. To compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gaze, not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. Let's look to the things that we can agree on that we want to fix, right? We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Which, by the way, did y'all catch that? We seek harm to none. She might as well have put a Wicca principle right in there. I thought that was awesome. But anyways. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. Let the globe, if nothing else is true, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. So there's 3 things that we can do. We are grieving. Even as we are grieving, let us grow. Let us learn from what we can learn and continue to grow and walk forward and strive to be better. Even as we hurt, we hope. We have a responsibility to hope. We'll talk a little bit more about what that responsibility means. That even as we tired, we tried. Sounds a lot like In It Harm None, doesn't it, Leolyn? I was so sad. I was like, you. Okay, little Wicca reference. That will forever be tied together victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Remember Tuesday, if you were here Tuesday, we were talking about we are reaping what we are sowing, right? So what are we sowing that we want to be reaping? That is a very important distinction. Let's put out there what we want to hear back. So if we are fighting for justice and inclusion and equality, then we need to be out there talking about love, justice, inclusion, equality, not violence, not breaking people down, not going out and trashing a building. Now, and again, it comes back to, I totally understand the frustration that some people, and it's not all, and that's why I get myself into trouble, because they paint such a large brush and say all Black Lives Matter, all of those protesters were violent, and that's so not true. Most of the time, it was a small faction that broke away and did their own idiotic thing. But most of the Black Lives Matter movement was not violent, was not going out there and doing that. They were speaking for equality. They were out there trying to do the right thing. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in the bridges we've made. Let me read that again, because that's such a Martin Luther King kind of statement, right? If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. Same thing we were just saying, right? Let's put out what we want to reap. We must sow what we expect to see back. That is the promise to Glade, the hill we climb if only we dare. It's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we stepped into and how we repair it. It's more than saying, I'm a patriot, I'm a proud patriot. It's living, learning from the past that we stepped into, and what can we now do with that past moving forward, right? Let me make this clear. My family and boyfriend, who is a Marine vet, asked me not to protest peacefully without a friend and body armor in fear that I would get hurt. I know it. I know. Courtney, I hear you. And I went to some of the protests and was afraid because I knew that there could be violence. But we just have to try to put out there what we expect to see back and let the rest fall, right? We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. So she's talking about the insurrection from 2 weeks ago. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. And again, here's that responsibility portion of it is what we do in this time will matter. And we have to believe that what we do will matter. And history will look back on us and say, how did you step forward, right? One of my favorite things is the parable about, they came for the Jews and I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't say anything. And they came for this and I wasn't a that, so I didn't say anything. And finally, they came for me and there was no one left to fight for me. So powerful. This is the era of just redemption. We feared its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation, become the future. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave a country better than the one we were left. Every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will raise from the golden hills of the west. We will raise from the windswept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover. And every known nook of our nation and every corner called our country, our people diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid, the new dawn balloons as we free it. For there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we are brave enough to be it. What a remarkable, remarkable young woman. Which you will. I'd love to know if there's an answer how you get people with different perspectives to come together. And it comes through love, and it comes through personal experience. Here's the thing. Here's when it becomes very hard to keep hating the other side. When you start to know the other side. When you reach out and try to find a few things that you can talk to them about that they would agree with. And suddenly, wait, I know that kind of a person, and they're not monsters. They may be misled. They may believe in things that I don't believe in, but they really do want the same things. They just come from a place of fear, and that's, to me, that makes it sad. I always feel like I want to hug these people and say, honey, don't be so afraid. Why are you living so afraid? I saw this young woman on an interview she did with Anderson Cooper last night. And I don't know if you saw it or were able to see it, but one of the things that she said I had to write down, and that's why this is called Hope and Our Responsibility to Do It. Because Anderson asked her about what her hope is from the future. And she said she said her mother taught her that hope is not something we ask of others. It is something you must demand of yourself. Hope is not something you ask of others. It is something that you must demand from yourself. We must demand that we hope for ourselves, because we have a responsibility in this lifetime to move forward in hope and truth and love. And our religion, if you call yourself a nature-based religion, or if you call yourself a lover of people in this planet, our religion oh, here we go. I don't even know what they're talking about. Oh. Our religion means that we strive to include, we strive to love, and we strive to give back to the planet, and we strive to connect with each other. And the thing, when I talk about what's important to me on this channel, it's always about the connections that we have to each other and the connections that we have to the planet. And I hear you. It is hard when you get to that point where someone is spewing hate. It is hard to love. It is hard to hope that you can reach them. And in a professional setting, you start to think, how can I somehow connect? You have to find the connection that you have with them, and sometimes it's really hard to find it, especially if they're spewing hate. It becomes really, really difficult to connect. But our responsibility is to try to reach out. And I will tell you again, and I've said this on this channel before, and it's kind of one of my mottos, so I am going to read it again because it's so silly to me. It cracks me up. It's from on the TV show Angel, which I love. Angel and Buffy. If you know anything about me, you know I love Angel and Buffy. I watch them both at least once a year. But Angel says something to his son, who's a little puke at the time, that I have written down. I swear I'm going to put it on my wall at some point. I got to print it out and put it on my wall. But he says, and this is how I strive to live my life. So if you want to know how I strive, this is it. He says, I got to think about the world. Nothing in the world is the way it ought to be. It's harsh and it's cruel, but that's why there's us, the champions. It doesn't matter where we've come from, what we've done or suffered, or even if we make a difference. We live as though the world is as it should be, to show it what it can be. We live as though the world is as it should be, to show it what it can be. That potential of what could be. And that's the point. When people see us and they see us engaged with love and connection, they can call us goofy. They can, spew their hate at us anyway, but then they kind of look silly. If we are, striving to connect and they're being complete douches, they look really silly. It looks stupid to do that. But we live as that example. That is our responsibility. To hope is the only way that we can continue to move forward, even when we think we may not be able to get to the end. That says 6M we. Okay, I'm not getting it, Miriam. I'm sorry. 6M we. What does that mean? I'm so bad at this stuff. Tell me what that means. 6M. How do you stop people from being revenge? You don't, honey. You can't stop anyone from doing anything. It's a Nazi thing? We cannot stop anyone from doing anything. What we can do is stop our reactions to the world. We can reach out and try to connect, no matter what, in love and in truth and in fighting for justice. And sometimes that means saying to them, are you kidding me? Do you really? I have said to somebody before, you don't really believe that, right? You really have so much hate in your heart that you believe that? That sounds like fear. Are you afraid? Are you afraid of people? I've said that to people. Exactly. Start with yourself. We can only control how we react to other people. We can't control how other people react to us. But we have a responsibility to move forward in hope and just keep going. Live the way we see the world in what should be. And that's all we can do. Our responsibility is not to change anyone. But the more that we can step forward in our own truth and our own love and our own inclusion and our own goodness and our own belief that the world can be better, the more it changes the other people around us. Not always as fast or as much as we want it to, but nonetheless, people will start, at least when they're around you. I can't even tell you now. I don't think either one of them are on here. So I'm going to say that the guy at work I was talking about earlier, who was like, are you really going to watch the inauguration? He gets on my nerves because he's very much that other side, and, but after he said that, and I was very cordial and very nice. I just said, you have to understand where I'm coming from though. I've always been poor. I don't care about the stock market. I know that you're afraid. I see that you're afraid, and I understand that you have a fear that the tax could get so high. But I think that if everyone would reach out and help their fellow man a little bit, you wouldn't have to worry about how high taxes got, because we would already be raising everyone else up. And wouldn't that be great if everyone was able to do good instead of just the people who were born into it, or the people who, whatever. And he was like, oh no, I get that. And now I haven't heard him be quite so douchey the last day or two, because I was nice to him about it, but I also did not I did not say, oh, you're right. I didn't back down. I just was like, I understand where you're coming from. You just have to understand where I'm coming from. I've never had money in my life. So while it might be nice to pour millions and millions of dollars into the stock market for the rich people, that doesn't affect me at all. I'm still struggling my ass off. This is our children's future. I know, right? Like I said, it bugged me because I remember when Trump was inaugurated saying out loud, I hope that I'm wrong and I'm going to try to see the good and hope that he can step forward and, you know, that he truly believes he has a plan to make the country better. And all I found was he had a plan for himself. And that's all I ever found with him. I just couldn't, and I don't think anybody could tell me that he had a plan to make anything better except what was in the mirror. That's all he ever cared about. He doesn't care about his supporters, which is why it kills me that his supporters are so lifelong, you're a god, because he could care less about them at all. Sad. Sad that they're that desperate. And that's why I tend to think that if you're a big Trumper, look, as someone said, I'm not calling you a racist, but I am telling you that you are siding with the racists, that you're siding with people who spew that hate. So if you're not racist, why are you there? Because that's what he's doing. I don't understand. Yes, yes, yes. One other thing that I wanted to just mention, and this was just because it struck me again as another example of this powerful young woman, Amanda Gorman, and where she came from. A reporter asked her what her first political memory was. And when she spoke it, I thought, oh. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, this probably won't hit the people on the right the way I hoped it would. Because it's like they don't believe it. It doesn't matter how many times the people of color will step forward and say, but I've been stomped on. But I've been stopped in the street for no reason. But I've been beaten because of the color of my skin, because they think that automatically, because of historically the predisposition in people's minds, they historically think that. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them that, they think that they're lying. I don't understand how they think they're lying, but so what she said was, my first political memory, I would say it wouldn't be anything like being at a protest or anything like that. It would be when I was really young, my mother would read me my Miranda rights and make sure I knew them. My mom was not playing around. When you are a black child growing up in America, our parents have to have what's called the talk with us. Except it's not about the birds and the bees and our changing bodies. It's about the potential destruction of our bodies. My mom wanted to make sure I was prepared to grow up with black skin in America, and that was my first awakening into the political climate I was stepping into. What a profound answer from such a young woman, right? And I've heard that before, and I have, all that, but that's her political memory, is that, and is that where they want to be on the other side? Can you look at that beautiful, intelligent, well-spoken, educated young woman and tell her that her fear is misguided, that she should not be standing up and saying that she is demanding more rights because she had to be taught that? I don't understand. But our responsibility is not to understand. Our responsibility is to move forward in hope and prove to the world that it can be better. That it can be better. And not by violence, by just keep putting our hand out anyways. It'll get there. I'll tell you, it's better now than it used to be. And, perhaps Trump was there because people had gotten complacent and thought that, I remember when Obama went into office, there was so much of, oh, look, racism is solved. That's it. No more racism. Black president, that means it's done. Really? So perhaps our complacency meant that we had to have this exact polar opposite to bring us back to the reality that we have more work to do. Yes, be willing to have real conversations. Be willing to reach out. Be willing to try to connect. Maybe that is the scheme of things. We are all one. So if everyone extends a hand to each other, we connect. That's right. Yes, I have. And that's a good thing. I have a whole study about the Black Lives Matter movement that I wanted to bring up on the channel and stuff, but I don't think I'm the right catalyst to do that. So I didn't feel comfortable stepping forward because I didn't want to try to speak in a voice that wasn't my own. But we have to be willing to reach out and connect and to learn and to say we need to learn. And if we're willing to do that, then that's the important part, right? It was an awakening. For sure it was an awakening. Okay. So I appreciate you all coming. I do want to say today was Squirrel Appreciation. Yes, Oya's girl. Oh, I love her. I love her. Queen Aset over at Oya's Girl is a gem. I adore her as a human being, as a teacher, as a guide, I can't tell you how many times I have personally messaged Queen Aset, who is the creator. She is Oya's Girl, to say, Queen Aset, help. I have been confronted with this question, and I don't know if I'm in the right about this racial situation. So as a white girl who wants to help as best I can, am I overstepping my bounds by speaking for an entire race of people that I'm not? Because as a person who likes to fight for justice, sometimes that's hard for me. I tend to be right out in front, and really that's not, I want to stand with them, but my role in that should not be right out in front. And so I have many times. So please do. She's had some wonderful conversations with people on her channel there. For sure. Today was National Squirrel Appreciation Day. Hello, squirrels. So I am putting together a giveaway. And one of the things I'm giving away is I got these super cute little felt acorns. So I'm putting together a whole bunch of squirrel stuff. And this will be part of them. Absolutely not. No, use your voice to speak for them. Yes, and I do. I just mean there's a place for my voice there. And I don't mean that there's no place for it. I just mean that my place is not a leadership role in that forum. I am there and I am with them and I'm standing with them and I go and fight with them and I do march with them and all that. But there is a difference between leading that fight and standing with them. That's what I mean. So anyways, I'm going to put together a whole little squirrel giveaway with a whole bunch of squirrel stuff, starting with these 2 little acorns. So there will be a little bit of a squirrely package that will be going to the winner. And what I want to see from you is one of 2 things. I want to hear from you either in a comment on this video down below, or I would much rather, and if you don't do videos, then that's okay. You don't do videos, and I'm not going to force you to do a video, but I would really love to see some video responses saying one thing that you are going to take responsibility for your hope, and one way that you're going to step forward in hope in this new year, and how you're going to do that. And then I will randomly pick a winner. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to get your stuff together. I really, really would like to see some video responses. But if not video responses, I want to at least hear the comments down below of one way that you are going to use your responsibility of hope this year and move people forward. All right. I love you guys so much. I'm so glad you joined me. And we'll see you this weekend. I need to have an ML talk this weekend. So ML talk coming this weekend for sure. So it'll probably be Saturday during the day. All right. I love you guys. Good night.